I'm like, I love him. This is what made her my new favorite author of all time. Yeah, it's been on the TBR for 2 years now. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to yet another Bookmas video. I recently went into the depths of my channel and I found my last book tag and I was thinking to myself, like, I should probably do another book tag because a lot of the questions and answers that I had last book tag don't hold true anymore. This time it's going to be like an end of the year book tag, so we're going to go through a bunch of different questions. I'm going to be answering them about, obviously, books that I read this year, and it's going to be super fun. Okay, so I hope you stick around for this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all my socials, links around the description box down below, and let's get on with this video. The first question is best book you've read so far in 2024. The last book tag I put The 7-Year Slip, and this is still my favorite book that I've ever read in my entire life, so this still does hold true, but for fear of like repeating myself, and I don't like repeating myself in videos, so I'm gonna pick a different book this time. The book I'm gonna pick for this one is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I read this like actually pretty early in the year and I still think about it till this day. I think what really stuck out to me about Once Upon a Broken Heart is our main character Evangeline. Very big fan of her, and I'm normally not a big fan of girls in books. I guess the best way to put it is that women in books are sometimes written to not be multifaceted, and I cannot stand that because I'm like, I don't know, like, why are you only making the man multifaceted and the girl's just like tunnel vision for one thing? I can't do that. I can't. Okay, sorry. I feel like Evangeline in this book was just very easily likable. I agreed with every single thing that she did. I loved like the type of person that she was, and here are some quotes from the book because I feel like it's only right to share some quotes from Once Upon a Broken Heart. I read it a while ago in a reading vlog, but I feel like when I first read it I was super rushed to like get on to the next book in that reading vlog that I never actually gave it the time of day that it deserves. So I'm gonna give it the time of day in this video really quickly and then we'll move on. Okay, I just want to read a few quotes to you guys. It says, Evangeline had been living with the same guilt and fear for the secret she'd been keeping. If only she hadn't been so afraid to be honest, both of them could have been spared some pain. Another quote says, with blank. I'm not going to tell you the name because I don't want to spoil anything. It says, she told herself that she was acting out of love, but she wasn't. Not really. She wasn't making loving choices, she was making compromising choices because she wanted love. Blank wasn't her weakness, love was. Not even just love, but the idea of it. I think this is the last quote that I'm going to share from this. It says, Evangeline had never understood why it had taken her so long to stop loving blank. Even when she didn't want to love him, the feeling had lingered. People called it falling out of love, but falling was easy. Letting go of blank had been more like climbing the face of a rock. She'd clawed her way out, fighting to shake it off, to let it go, to find something else to hold on to. She'd wanted to just forget him, to close her eyes and have it all go away, but there were reasons powerful emotions didn't vanish in a blink. Reasons why a person had to become stronger than her feelings to let them go. I just feel like Evangeline kind of finds herself throughout this book, and it's very, very special to me. I don't think I explained the premise of the book, so let me do that really quickly before we move on. Basically, the whole book is following Evangeline, and it's kind of like a fairy tale-esque sort of book. So Evangeline is very much in love with this guy who ends up falling in love with her sister. She thinks that, oh my gosh, there's no way that he would be in love with my sister instead of me. He obviously has to be cursed. So basically she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts. He's not really like very trustworthy. Basically, you're not ever supposed to make a deal with him because he always has his own agenda and he doesn't actually care. So that's what happens in the book. There are a lot of like different like fairy tale-esque storylines happening in the book because it's like magical realism in this world too. People turn to stone in this book, they have potions, and like it's very, very interesting and I just loved it. It felt like I was reading like a fairy tale book. The next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2024. For this one I want to talk about Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter because Better Than the Movies is the first book in the series. And then Nothing Like the Movies came out this year. I actually wasn't the biggest fan of Better Than the Movies. It's not my favorite romance book at all, but it is still like very high up there. It's just very YA, so I didn't fully enjoy this book to its like fullest potential. I feel like Nothing Like the Movies is my favorite sequel and one of my favorite books of all time now because it's not super YA like Better Than the Movies was. Basically, Nothing Like the Movies is following the same couple from Better Than the Movies, Liz and Wes. Since everything happened in Better Than the Movies, they ended up breaking up and then going to college. Basically, they are at the same college. And it's kind of a second chance romance, but I loved the book so much. I feel like it gave the characters so much more depth that I was seeking from the first book. The second book gave me that depth and emotional impact that I just was like really genuinely looking forward to. Next question is favorite new author, debut, or new to you. I'm gonna pick new to me. So my favorite author, actually like my new favorite author of all time, is going to be Sarah J Maas. I discovered her this year through the ACOTAR series. I read the first 3 books in that series this year. I love her writing. I just think that, okay, maybe unpopular opinion, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the ACOTAR series as much as I am as the Throne of Glass series. Basically, after finishing those 3 ACOTAR books, I started reading the Throne of Glass series, and I honestly think that this is what made her my new favorite author of all time, because I love the way that she creates characters and storylines. And the way she packs like a very emotional punch into her like fantasy books is very insane to me, because I feel like a lot of times when you're reading a fantasy book, it's not very emotional. I think what made me love her so much is the way that she wrote Selena in The Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass. I haven't read the other books in the Throne of Glass series so far, so I'm only going to be speaking for Selena in these 2. The next question is a book that made you cry. Honestly, I am the most emotional person on the planet, so I think I cry at everything ever, but I'm gonna try to pick a book that made me cry the most that I haven't talked about yet. Oh my god, I have the perfect book for this question. The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. The book and the movie both made me cry. Basically, this book follows A.J. Fikry, who is dealing with like the grief after losing his wife in a car accident. The way that he deals with grief is not in a good way at all. He just kind of becomes numb to the world. And I guess throughout this book, you're kind of learning how he learns to love life again throughout like definitely different experiences that aren't all good. Like, there are still bad things that are happening to him, but he's kind of learning to kind of just take life as it goes. He's a bookstore owner and he's very set in his ways, so like whenever he talks about books in this book, it's so interesting because he's like, if you want this type of book, you're not getting it from my bookstore because I don't like those types of books. And I'm like, I love him. Basically, the end of this book made me cry the most, but throughout the entire book, I was shedding a few tears. Okay, the next question is a book that made you happy. Honestly, for this one, I'm gonna have to pick Summer Romance. I just think that this was like a super happy, joyful filled book. And I say that, but I don't want that to take away from also the emotional punch that this book brings, because obviously this book is still very emotional. Even though the cover is really cute, why would Annabelle Monaghan do that? I did still cry at this book, but I think it was like, I guess like happy tears. Honestly, like it was Ethan in this book that made me really happy because he's a very sunshiny character. But I also love our main character, Allie. I feel like even though she went through like so many hardships in this book, by the end of the book when they were happy and together, I was literally smiling. The next question is, what books do you want to read or need to read by the end of the year? Honestly, I already met my reading goal. I believe I'm 58 books out of 50 books because I set my expectations really low so that I can exceed expectations and then feel accomplished. So that's just how my brain works. So I already met my reading goal, so I technically don't have to or need to read any more books by the end of this year, but I do have a few that I kind of wanted to read from the beginning of this year and never got to, so I'll list those off really quickly. Okay, the list is as follows. Lessons in Chemistry by Barney Garmis. I don't have the actual book with me right now, it's actually at home, but I've been wanting to read that book literally since the beginning of this year. I've heard so many good things about this book. Everybody who talks about this book says that the way that it touches on women and like the way that kind of undermined as a woman in the world is so special. I believe this book follows a scientist and basically she works in like an all male led field. She's constantly undermined while still being like the smartest person in the room. I also want to read at least one Kristen Hanna book. I am so scared of her writing. I've been scared of her writing this entire year, so I want to at least like face my fears and read one of them, because everybody who talks about Kristen Hanna's writing is like just talking about what makes you cry. So Nightingale and The Women are the 2 books by Kristen Hanna that I currently own. Honestly, I'll probably read The Nightingale before the year ends. I think I'll leave The Women for next year because I'm more scared about reading this one than I am The Nightingale. But I feel like it's just gonna make me cry, and it's gonna be like deep cutted stuff that I don't know if I'm ready for. But then the last book on the list of books that I want to read by the end of the year is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. This book has been on my TBR for like 2 years now, and I'm like, ugh. Yeah, it's been on the TBR for 2 years now. So I just need to get it done. With all that being said, that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that honestly this gave you guys some options for books to put on your TBR, because I feel like these are some books that I just like don't have any time to talk about ever. Like I never actually put them in videos. I feel like this video honestly just gives me an excuse to talk about like books that I love that I never really talk about. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys so very much. Make sure to check out all my socials, links down in the description box down below, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow for another Bookmas video. See you then.